Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Big Apple Hockey. We have a lot, and I do mean a lot to cover today. I think there's a game tonight for a team. I don't know about that, Anthony. Nobody's really paying any attention to it at all. But thanks, everybody, for joining us because I am your host, Mark Williams. We're going to have a third host joining us in a minute, but the man who is always a different voice that we need, Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
Hey, Mark, how would you feel if the Rangers couldn't have their logo at center ice next year?
I would feel like completely betrayed.
Because
No, that needs to be at center ice.
I don't know if you saw it the news, but the Coyotes next year, they're not gonna have their logo at center ice. It's gonna remain the Arizona State hockey team's logo at their center ice. They can't change it. Saw that yesterday.
Oh, come on. That's just ridiculous.
Well,
the money they're trying to put into that stadium. That's
not only are they going to play in front of a stadium that doesn't hold more than 5,000, but they can't even have their own logo at center ice. Bettman just totally botched this whole. Just move them to Quebec or a city where I'll appreciate. I just don't understand this whole situation. I really don't.
Or just renegotiate for a couple more years at Gila River Arena. And
yeah, but that was not an option anymore. So this is the best thing they got, but it's just a head scratcher because I don't know why the guy's jumping through hoops to keep them in a situation that's, let's face it, a joke. How many players are going to want or are going to be able to get motivated to play in front of an arena that holds 5,000 people? And some nights they might not even get 5,000. So I don't understand that whole situation. I can't imagine anybody wanting to play for that franchise. Unless you're a player, because I'm sure it's a small percentage, but unless you're a player that is really just playing, really just plays because it's like they view it as their job and they just do it for money, then I don't understand why anybody would want to play for the Arizona Coyotes.
Well, the way it was described, players want to live in Arizona. They don't want to play for the Coyotes.
Oh yeah,
and so it's just they got to get to a more desirable situation with that franchise.
But if you love the game and that's the primary reason you play and you want to win and you want to, have all the experience playing National Hockey League, win a Stanley Cup, I don't understand why you'd want to play for them. I don't.
Well, there's only 32 teams and 32 jobs and all that stuff, that the cliches they could use. By the way, a couple bits of piece of information that we're going to drop right now. We're still waiting for John to get on to join us. Filk will be on any moment.
Truth.
And they can't choose their sponsors either. Jesus.
It's
for everybody, Tuesday night, I'm going to be doing a get-together at Timeout in Hicksville. Come on down and join me. I'm also going to be doing a 25-man pool for a signed Adam Graves jersey. So get on in with that. I know what you're saying, how you do those kind of pools with hockey. Well, it's very simple. Shots on goal plus goals. There you go. Now nines, because you're never going to get a 9-goal game, so don't worry about that unless you play NHL 19. By the way, you could always start going to Big Apple Hockey Podcast and seeing our written articles. You can see my write-up on what I think about this series, as well as today we're giving away this Adam Fox signed picture. All you got to do is subscribe to the channel and be able to comment in the comments. I'll be catching up to those comments in a little bit. But first, as we wait for Filk, and also to get Anthony's thoughts on everything that transpired this week. Because Anthony, the New York Islanders last week parted ways with Barry Trotz. We all know about that. And third most wins in Islanders history. But this week, Lane Lambert is the 17th head coach of this team's franchise. What transpired, and can you make sense out of all this for us? Because they said they needed a different name in the room, but or a different voice in the room, but he's the assistant coach, so makes sense.
First off, Lou in his press media said that he maybe used the wrong verbiage in terms of the new voice, but he did maintain that at the end of the day, Lane Lambert's a different personality. The way he just conducts meetings and everyone's different essentially. So he said, yes, he did work on the Barry for so long, but it absolutely still is a new voice in the locker room, which is true. As far as everything else, the more as time goes by, and now that Lane Lambert is officially the coach, it starts to make a little sense. There's some speculation out there that Barry Trotz he had 1 year left on his contract, that he had made it clear that he may not come back next year, depending, maybe he wants to go closer to home, move into a management role. And with that, I think that Lou had probably knew that Lane Lambert was going to be Barry Trotz's replacement at some point. So I think it's becoming more clear that he felt that if he held on to Trotz this coming season, and then Lane Lambert left this season because there's a lot of coaching vacancies, and he has been sought after for the last 2 years. Now he's out Trotz's successor after Barry ultimately left next year. So it looks like that he just wanted to get ahead of things and protect the team from essentially losing both guys. Now this way he only lost one. So that makes a little more sense. And also let's not act that Lane Lambert is like a some sort of schlep like David Quinn or another guy who has no experience. This guy's been around a long time. He actually played with Steve Yzerman in Detroit early in Yzerman's career. He was with Barry Trotz in Nashville and Washington. And like I mentioned, he was widely viewed across the league as the next assistant coach who can get his own bench. Last 2 years he was interviewed and considered for other teams' vacancies. So he was highly sought after. And yes, Trotz, the Hall of Fame coach, and kind of stings losing him, being that to us at least that it came out of nowhere. But I think Lane Lambert is a good replacement. I think he's gonna carry some of Trotz's systems and structures, obviously, being that he worked for him for so long. But I also think he's gonna switch things up. I don't think he's gonna run the team exactly the same. I think he recognizes that the team needs more scoring, and that opening up the system could elevate Barzal, getting back closer to his production when he had 85 points in his rookie year, and then kind of go from there. So I think Lane's going to be good. And I wish Barry the best. If he lands in Winnipeg, that makes so much sense.
And everyone does. There's nobody that dislikes Barry Trotz in the league.
That's where he's from. But you couldn't ask for a better mentor in Barry Trotz for Lane. And I'm slowly starting to get a little more excited for this. A fresh face, fresh voice. And I think the Islanders are going to look a little different with their structures next season. And lastly, don't forget that now that Lou made this move, he kind of put himself in the line of fire. Now the spotlight's on him. If whatever moves he makes this season didn't work out, and the fact that he removed Trotz, then you know what? Then now his job is in danger, and I think he realizes that. He's a smart man. He knows that. So I think he's going to be extra aggressive this offseason in improving this team.
Well, because again, I did the video when the news broke, and even as a Ranger fan, but again, I use the term fan. We're entering the world of being pundits, and
exactly.
It could just be the right move. Yeah, like what Core's saying right there. Well, they should have made Mike Sullivan the head coach, but they decided to go with Alain Vigneault. Can't argue with the success that Vigneault had. I mean, sometimes there are just assistants that get elevated, and it's time, and those guys end up being great head coaches. Like we were talking before we aired about Joel Quenneville when he was the assistant in Colorado, and then he became the head coach in I think it was St. Louis was his first job. I mean, I know that's one of the most successful coaches of all time. Then you also have guys like Dave Lewis who looked like they were the anointing ones, and they just didn't pan out. So, Kurt, I just want to get your name down, guys. Everybody in the chat right now, I'm entering in for the Adam Fox thing. Nobody's commented Fox so far, so it's great sorting system. I'm just putting everybody's name in there at the moment. So, uh, but how do you just close this out? How do you feel about this hiring right now?
Like I said, I like it. I think he's going to do a good job. He's been around a long time as an assistant. Like I said, he's very smart. And again, I think he's gonna implement. He's gonna keep some of Trotz's structures in their game, but I think he's going to change a lot. I think he recognizes what went wrong. I also think he recognizes how Trotz may have been a little harder on the younger guys like Oliver Wallstrom and other. Are you okay there, Mark? You distracted a
I'm
little
just
bit?
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the chat exploding right now because everybody's putting in their Fox. I'm like, guys, I already have all your names down.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Sorry about that.
Um, I think he's gonna handle younger guys better. I think like guys like Oliver Wallstrom will have a longer leash, not necessarily be afraid if he makes a mistake. He's gonna be stapled to the bench. So I think for a lot of guys it's a fresh start. Even Barzell, not that Trotz and Barzell had a strained relationship, but I think he was really hard on Barzell. He kind of neutered him at times with how he plays his game. And I think Barzell is going to have more free reign to really showcase his skill out there. Even guys like Brock Nelson, who are offensively talented players, I think they're going to feel more freedom to really create more offense, and I think that's great for the team overall. So
But here's a question I have for that though, Ant. Sometimes when you're like taking away the responsibilities or getting the focus, like you're taking the shackles off of Barzell, you can argue he was a better player scoring 65 points, playing more defense than when he was scored 83 points, playing no defense.
yeah, I mean
So
that's fair, but I mean you're also talking about that's him scoring 20 less points can have a big effect on the team. And again, I know, like I said, Lane's not going to go back to a Doug Waite system, which is totally wide open. It's not going to happen. But Barzell's going to have exactly, Kurt. Barzell's going to have much more freedom to really showcase his speed and skill. I mean, his edge work is absolutely filthy. So if he has confidence in that his coach is going to let him do his thing more, I think he's going to be a much better player. And as far as this, that's not a bad idea. The only thing is with Nylander, sometimes I think his work ethic lacks a little bit. But not only that, I think Toronto would probably want to do a hockey trade with that, where meaning it's no secret they want to improve defensively. They'd probably want to do Pollock for Nylander, and Pollock is a big part of the Islanders' defense. So I don't know if I would do that. I mean, if they would take Scott Mayfield, who's a very solid defenseman, and his cap hits insane of a steal. If they would do Mayfield in a first or something along that with another little piece, then maybe I consider it. But I would not want to give up Brian Pollock for Willie Nylander. If they can't get Forsberg or Gaudreau, I'd rather get Kevin Fiala, who I mentioned to Marc. Bill Guerin made some interesting comments about that yesterday, essentially saying that he doesn't think they're going to be able to keep Kevin Fiala. So that's a name I would also love for Lou to go out and get.
well, we're going to cover more on the talent that the Islanders could go out and get in the Bar Talk segment. And unfortunately, Filk is not going to be able to join us today. I just got that bit of news. But all good. We have everything else lined up, and he was with me for an hour yesterday, and we had a nice little laugh when he accidentally ended the stream too. So that was also funny. But and yeah, you're gonna see a different team, and you're gonna see like maybe a different philosophy. So we'll see about that. Islander fans out there, what do you think about the same voice that's still in the room, but the new hire, 17th head coach in your history? Throw it all down in the comments below. All right. Once again, I got everybody already in for the Adam Fox drawing right now. But also anybody that comes on in, make sure you're entering in Fox in there. So we are going to move on to the New York Rangers, where if after the show, tonight's stream is going to be probably Marc's drunken recap. Hopefully, it won't be triple overtime, and I'll be slobbering all over myself as I did in the game one versus the Penguins. But whenever I can't do one, either the night of, I'll do one the night after, unless Filk jumps on to take me off the hook. Tuesday night, I'm going to be over at Timeout in Hicksville. Come on down, watch a game with me. So it's going to be a great time. And again, everybody enter in Fox. If everyone that's in there we go. Holy shit, I just got like 15 people. Good thing Anthony's going to be doing some talking in a second. So Anthony, we did our Canes Rangers playoff preview, but one thing I forgot until about like 45 minutes into the show yesterday was that Filk is a huge wrestling fan, just like you. So I want you to be the Carolina Hurricanes or give me some good smack talk right now.
Unfortunately, I really got nothing for you. The only thing I'll say is the Hurricanes do the whole woo after they score, similar to the Islanders, but a little different, and it's more Ric Flair style. So all I'll say is, woo! Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, you're gonna run wild over the Rangers.
Yeah, my buddy Pete Mackin was on that all over the place tonight.
Last night. It's gonna be. Let's face it. You guys know I put my Islander fandom aside when I talk about the Rangers, and I think that's why people appreciate my opinion as an Islander fan.
And like I always say, we wear our hearts on one sleeve and our opinions on the other, and sometimes they don't have to mix.
I think it's no secret that the Rangers are the underdog in this series, and I think most Ranger fans who really are diehards understand that the Hurricanes present a little bit of a nightmare matchup for them. I just anything can happen, absolutely. But if the Rangers play the same way that they played against the Penguins and don't clean things up, the Hurricanes are going to make fairly quick work of them. They're much better than the Penguins. They play a much faster speed game. They swarm you. They suffocate you. They're all over you. They give you no time and space. They're more, even though Pittsburgh has Crosby and Malkin, I know two of the best players of our generation. The Hurricanes are more talented offensively. Up and down their lineup: Aho, Teravainen, Nikas, Svechnikov, Trocheck, Niederreiter. Even Jordan Stahl plays such a great shutdown game still at this point in his career. Max Domi, they are a really, really good hockey team. And again, if the Rangers don't clean things up, the Hurricanes are going to make them pay for their mistakes that the Penguins necessarily always didn't. And you know what? Igor he was fantastic in the regular season. In Game 7, I thought he was really good. But overall, this series, I think in the round 1 against Pittsburgh, he had a .911 save percentage. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it against the Carolina Hurricanes. Like I said, it really won't. So if the Rangers play the same way, the Hurricanes are going to absolutely destroy them. With that said, anything can happen. The Rangers have elite players in Panarin. Zibanejad woke up. Shesterkin is capable of doing a lot more. So it's not like there's no hope. But I think overall, first, when Filk says the Hurricanes in 6, it's not really a good matchup. And I'm not saying Filk's a homer because he's not. But he's more of the positive side in terms of making predictions on the Rangers. So I'm going to say it's going to be the Hurricanes in 6 games as well, because I do think, the Rangers are good enough to steal a game or two. But ultimately, I think the Hurricanes they have too much talent. And honestly, I picked the Panthers to go to the Stanley Cup final, but I could easily see the Hurricanes beating Tampa or Florida. That's how high I am on them.
I think any team in the East you can make a solid, at least a solid guess that they could win not only the East, they could win the Cup, all of them.
Yeah, no,
Every one of them, and especially Carolina Hurricanes are no slouch.
yeah,
And obviously, the Ranger fans have seen this. I mean, the one win they got, they barely survived, and the other 3 losses, the Hurricanes would take a lead, the Rangers would bounce back, it would be close at the end, and then they just fall short. It's
yeah.
just Carol. I can't sing the praises of Carolina enough.
Yeah, it's
But I do wonder. Go ahead. I think we're about to say the same thing.
The only thing that Boston kind of proved is that they're not like when they're away, they're beatable. When they're at home, they look like they just look like the best hockey team that's ever played the game of hockey. I mean, when you watch their round 1 series against Boston at home, they just, oh my God. I mean, I know the crowd gave them extra juice, but it looked like an NHL team playing a minor league team sometimes. That's how on top of Boston Carolina was at home. So
in game 1 too, Anthony, Boston really pushed the issue because they wanted to try to get to I think it was Ronta in game 1. I couldn't remember if it was Ronta or Kolachek, but and that kid looks like he's going to develop into a pretty good goaltender too.
Yeah.
But they did push the issue. Carolina, forgive the metaphor, weathered the storm and then took over that game. And now you're seeing that again. I do wonder about the goaltending.
So that's really, I mean, I don't want to say a weakness because Antti Ranta is certainly better than Louis Domingue, but by far.
Mm-hmm.
But the only kind of weakness maybe is goaltending. I mean, Antti Ranta isn't Superman, and the other one is, I mean, toughness. Other than that, it's really, really hard to find a weakness in their game. But they don't have many guys that mix it up. I mean, Aho, Teravainen, Niederreiter has size. He's not afraid to kind of mix it up, but they're not a tough team. So I think if the Rangers can really get in on their defense and kind of make them turn and hit them every chance they get, wear them down, that's something that the Rangers really need to do. But yeah, the Hurricanes don't have many flaws. They don't.
Nope.
So
no, they do not. They do not. And I'm just going to enter in DP's name on this list. But the one thing they don't do is they don't really get into barn burner games either, though. And I think if you start getting into high scoring games, that's edge Rangers.
Yeah.
And as soon as it opens up, the other thing I would be concerned about if I'm Carolina is I just had it and then I lost it. Boston didn't have a goalie that could steal a game. Igor Shesterkin could steal a game or 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the Rangers are comfortable playing from behind. So even the first goal doesn't even matter. But Anthony, go ahead.
That's true. Clearly, they proved they could play from behind. But I think being down 2-0 against Pittsburgh is going to be a lot different than being down 2-0 against
2-0 to Carolina. You're right.
So
I mean, because they lock it, they really do lock it down. But I do have to tell you this. It's amazing to me. First goal of the game in the last series was 3-4, and the teams that scored first did not hold the lead at the end of 2 periods, except for game 2. That's outrageous to me. But you know what? That's what you're going to have to do with that. By the way, in the chat right now, who's going to win tonight? We are overwhelming the poll. Rangers 83% right now. We're going to keep that going. Once again, right now, everybody in the chat so far, I got them on the Fox thing. Oh, wait. Barabbas, I got to add you in right now. And then I like this comment right here. Panarin is Zibanejad, shoot more, or Lafreniere, keep free and don't overthink. And the defense will help Shesty. They might win tonight and hopefully face Tampa in a couple days. Yeah, that should really help. Sit for on an yeah, it's a little bit unfair, Richie, to have Nemeth in there. Or sorry, not Nemeth, Jones, to try to throw Jones in there right away. Sorry. Barbarous. I always go to Barabbas. Why do I keep doing that? It's been a while since I looked at the Bible. And John, I got to get you on there as what we got to do. All right. So, and guys, by the way, I know what a lot of people might be thinking, and this series is going to be like an action movie with a big twist.
Take a 2-0 lead on the goal by the Rangers move on to Tampa.
Yeah, all the memories, those old memories. All right, Anthony, you ready to do some bar talk?
Sure.
All right, let's do this thing.
I'm going to take a shot on this one.
I'm going to say beer. I'm buying everybody around on this. Oh my God.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to Big Apple Hockey Bar Talk, where we are gauging our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. Are you so confident you're buying everybody around? Or are you just like, yeah, depressed, I really need a shot right now? Or so, I'll take a beer. There you go. And remember, everybody, if you're getting in there right now, keep on typing in Fox. I see like 4 more names I got to get on there. Fortunately, like I said, I have the gentleman right here to be doing some talking for me. And next Tuesday night, I'm going to be doing a get-together over at Timeout in Hicksville. Come on down and join me. And I'm going to start with this one. The New York Rangers should make re-signing Tyler Mott their top priority. Anthony.
Top priority? I'll say shot. I don't think it should be the top priority. I think Mott is someone that they should bring back if they could fit him in, but they have more pressing needs to handle this offseason, one of which, finding a way to keep Andrew Kopp, replacing, Ryan Strome maybe with another center, improving their defense. So yeah, there's a bunch of things I put above re-signing Tyler Mott. So it's a shot.
I'm going to actually upgrade this to a beer only because the reason why is because there's not a lot of cap space at the moment. So I guess their top priority should be free and cap space. I would love to keep Andrew Kopp. That's what I would love to do. And I'd love to shoot Ryan Strome into the sun, to use Filk's metaphor. But it's one of those things that there's going to be limited room. I know there's going to be a bidding war on Kopp, especially from the Detroit Red Wings. So that's why I kind of look over at Mott and go, you can't let Tyler Mott go. Do not lose sight on him. They're gonna need him. So and I've been singing his praise the entire time. He's going to be a huge difference maker in this series against the Carolina Hurricanes. Anthony, the Islanders currently have the roster to play up tempo.
I mean, not really. Guys with having Chara and Green on their back end, it's hard to play a fast style and move the puck up the ice. I mean, they got guys who can absolutely wheel. I mean, Barzell, Nelson, Pajot, they can all fly, but they weren't suited for the speed game. So last year's version of the Islanders, no, but it's for next season. You can't answer it because obviously Lou's still going to make some moves to improve the overall speed and skill of this team. So, no for this past season, but I think this season coming is going to be, they are going to play more style hockey because the roster is going to look different.
And yeah, I have to agree with you on that because I think they're going to try to go and make splashes of free agency. But one phrase that you use a lot is Lou likes hockey trades. Mm-hmm. And I think he's going to try to really explore how to get this team faster. My question for you, because, and by the way, I have to do it. Well, right now is a shot. It's definitely a shot because, They don't have the personnel to do it. The identity line is far from fast to play up tempo, but it's
Well,
And even
Cizikas can wheel. I mean, Martin and Clutterbuck aren't fast, but Cizikas has speed.
yeah, I mean, Clutterbuck alone, his legs are shot. But you know, but again, they're gonna go out and they're gonna this team might look completely different by next season. So
Yeah.
right now they don't have it, but they will soon enough. You know what happened? You know what started last night? The Battle of Florida, and the Battle of Florida is going to be the best of the playoffs.
Shot. I know they had a really good matchup last year, but I mean, the Battle of Alberta, I mean, that hasn't happened in a while. That's going to be a crazy fun series. I can't wait to watch it. I think it's going to be, fast up tempo. I think it's going to have a lot of scrums and fights. I'm really, really looking forward to that series. So I think it's going to be that series. And you know what? To be honest with you, Florida almost got brought to the brink by the Capitals that are kind of on a downward slope. I wasn't impressed with Florida that series. I mean, thank God for Carter Verhaeghe. If it wasn't for him, I mean, the Panthers probably lose that series. I think they said he was on the ice for like 12 of their 20 goals. So, yeah, I mean, Tampa Bay looks like they might just be getting started and revving up, which is bad news for everybody else. And I know last night's only one game, but I'm starting to believe that Tampa Bay is going to handle Florida, and I really hate that, but I think that's going to be the case.
I love this series last year, and I just think once the emotion kicks in, it's really going to get into high gear. I'm gonna go beer, because we'll get into the Battle of Alberta in a moment, but it's just one of those things. This series was so electric last year. I think minus Braden Point, depending on how bad his injury is, you might really see them get into this. I mean, the crowd was going nuts when they thought Florida tied the game last night, but then it hit off the netting, so it wasn't meant to be. But it's gonna be a hell of a series. That Colorado series looks like it's gonna be pretty good. We'll see about the Rangers Hurricanes. If it's the regular season, that series is not going to be entertaining. It's the postseason. That series is going to be. I think the Rangers are going to try to mix it up a lot with the Hurricanes, and the Hurricanes might fall into that trap. That's going to be one thing we talked about yesterday. Hurricanes don't necessarily have that. Yeah. We did.
We did, but maybe when we get into more of a Q&A session, we'll talk about that again for you.
Yeah. So we led with that actually specifically.
Yeah.
So you would figure that's in the B block, but I figured more Ranger fans were going to be late. So, and you know what? We've been sitting on this news for a while going, once we get Anthony on, we can get the perspective. He is the head Islanders writer. That's why we have him. And certainly, you know more than me about it. That's why I had to go with that. By the way, if you didn't see it, Tampa scored twice in the third period. Patrick Maroon. Do you give any how would I put it, credit to him being a guy that's won the last 3 Stanley Cups?
I mean, yeah, he fits a role. He can he could bring a physical presence. Occasionally, he could chip in with a goal. But I mean, he's not a game changer. But I mean, I guess they love.
I think his experience helps. Though.
Yeah, they love him in that room.
Yeah. All right, Anthony. Moving on. St. Louis can pull off the upset over Colorado.
I mean, last night the way Binnington played, if he can actually maintain that style, maintain that level of performance, the series actually might be closer than people think. But I think Colorado is still just too talented to lose, especially to St. Louis. So I'm gonna say. I'm hovering on shot here, but I guess I'll say beer just because of how St. Louis played last night. But I think Colorado is going to win this series somewhat easily.
I don't think it's going to be easy. And in our bracket that we did on the Facebook thing, I took Colorado in this series. With the one that Filk and I did on the air, I ended up picking St. Louis with him. He talked me into it. St. Louis is a team that would really worry me, very much so, if I'm Colorado.
Yeah, no, that they're experienced and they play a tough game, but I just think Colorado is just too good. They're
And they currently, if I recall correctly, I should have checked that out before I got on air, but they also, I believe, don't have any goals from Buchnevich yet.
yeah.
So imagine when he starts producing, what's going to happen.
I don't, you know
But
what series would be really, really entertaining? A Colorado Hurricanes Stanley Cup final. I mean, that would be that would be an interesting matchup to see because they play a similar style in the sense that they're all over you and they just keep coming. That would
and
be.
I have to use the word phrasing in there for a second, but it's going to be, no matter what combination. I'm actually trying to go over in my head what would actually be a bad combination for the Stanley Cup right now, and all these teams are entertaining, and all these teams have stars and can bring it and are well coached. So hats off right now. We're going to be in for a treat in 3 weeks for the Stanley Cup Finals. All right. Speaking of the Battle of Alberta, the Battle of Alberta will be the shortest of the series of the second round.
I'm gonna go a shot again here. I said before I think this is gonna be the most interesting series. I do not think it's gonna be short. I mean, the Flames are definitely the better team, but similar to Islanders Rangers, when they play, you can kind of throw everything out the window. I think that's the same way with the Flames and the Oilers. I think that it's going to be a close series. It's going to have it all. I think ultimately the Flames are going to win just because Markstrom is much better than Mike Smith. And even though Edmonton has Draisaitl and McDavid, the Flames have a much more potent attack with Lindholm, Gaudreau, Kachuk, Toffoli, Mangiapane, Yarncroke, and they just have a lot of guys that can come at you and skate. Speed, Blake Coleman. So I think the Flames are going to take the series, but I think it's going to be a brutally fun series to watch.
I am buying around on this 100%, and that's because if there's anybody, I mean, maybe I'll higher on the Flames than Daryl Sutter is, but I thought the Flames were going to handle Dallas a little bit easier. Jake Ottinger had other ideas. He really played well in that series. And so with that said, that's what kind of held the Flames back. Mike Smith is not going to be nearly as good as he was in the first round. And he's going to be a step down from Ottinger. I honestly think the Flames take care of this series running away in 5, because in the regular, now again, throw away the regular season. I keep saying that with the Rangers and the Hurricanes. But with this, in the regular season, the Oilers couldn't out-defend the Flames, and they couldn't outscore the Flames. So if you can't do either one, then I have to go with the Flames, and pretty quickly. This is also the reason why I think the Colorado sweep is so important.
Yeah. Ottinger, I'll tell you, he was outstanding. And what's funny about that is, as good as he was, the goal he let up to Gaudreau from that angle, I'm sure he would have wanted that one back. But man, he was fantastic.
Which, I thought about this when I was on the car drive back from getting a bagel. But Barry Trotz had the interview in Winnipeg. Mm-hmm. Let's say he doesn't get that job. If you're Dallas and Rick Bowness decides quickly to step down, do you jump on Barry Trotz for that team?
Yeah, but the Flyers are lurking too. As Elliot Friedman mentioned, the Flyers have interest in Trotz. So if for some reason Winnipeg doesn't give him the job, I know they're going to come at him hard, and Vegas is going to come at him hard too.
Well, on to teams that did not advance in the playoffs. I was about to say make the second round, but that didn't really sound good off the tongue. The Toronto Maple Leafs need a major overhaul.
Does a bear shit in the woods? I mean, what's crazy? It doesn't seem like they are, and I don't get it. And the reasoning was, I hear that it makes no sense to have overreaction and blow up a team that played so well against the back-to-back champs and came so close. And that's true. They did come close this time. But you just throw out the prior 6 years. I mean, for so long, they failed to get over the hump of winning a round. You could talk about the success they had in the regular season all they want, or you could talk about how close they played the Lightning all they want. But at the end of the day, they still failed to get it done. So the fact that Shanahan already said Keefe and Dubas are coming back, and that it's likely that their core four, meaning Marner, Matthews, Nylander, Tavares, specifically Nylander, Tavares, aren't going to be moved. It's just silly because, other than that, you're just shuffling the deck on the Titanic by moving other pieces. Yeah, you could swap out Alexander Kerfoot, and bring in a similar player, or let, I don't know, let Mark Giordano go and bring in, I don't know, Calvin DeHaan, or it doesn't. I don't understand how they're going to take the next step by keeping the team the same. Yeah, they could rest their laurels on, maybe if we played a team other than Tampa Bay, maybe we win the first round. That's true, but again, you look at the large picture here. They failed to get it done with the core that Kyle Dubas put in place, and I think it's going to be ridiculous that their team may be somewhat similar. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I think it's poor decision making, and
it's one of those things when you look at them, because even I step back and just try to evaluate their talent, Anthony, and thinking, well, they got the talent to do it, but it's like I keep going back to you on and saying to everybody, video game mentality doesn't, or fantasy sports mentality doesn't work. You need guys to have clearly defined roles. You need to have guys who understand things. You need to have physical presence. You need to have that's the reason why the Rangers hopefully can get Barclay Goodrow back in this series quickly, because he's going to lay some physical presence on. The Rangers were a different team when Tyler Mott was in the lineup, as opposed to the easy team they were able to be played against in Game 4. So I just don't know what Toronto is exactly doing. That's, I think, where I go with on that. Do they have a third line? Do they have a fourth line? And I agree with you. I agree with you on this. Everybody knows they need the change, but what do you change? Well, I would probably get rid of William Nylander.
Yeah, I would trade Nylander in a hockey trade for a young, similar age defenseman. Move. Let's face it, Tavares, not the player he was.
Nope.
$11 million for the next 3 years. Just imagine what they could do if they traded him for a bag of pucks, and what they could do with that $11 million. Add another 2 to 3 quality, solid forwards for your second and third line. Make your team more well-rounded. But I understand this isn't fantasy hockey. What hockey team, Mark, is going to take Tavares' $11 million? Not
That's
many
correct.
teams can absorb that salary. It's a situation where, a decent amount of salary would have to be going back to Toronto. But you're right. I
think that the answer is beer, because it's just, you don't know, they need a change. You just don't know what it is. I'm not sure if Sheldon Keefe is the answer as a coach. I'm not sure if Kyle Dubas is making bad moves and needs to be removed. But what is his team's philosophy?
That's very true. He does. So that's something that would be a problem. And I don't know how many places he would waive it to. Oddly enough, if the Maple Leafs made it clear to him that they're going to move on for him and don't want him, I think the Islanders might be one of the only teams he would waive it to come back for. If he loved it as much as he said he would, but I can tell you right now that that's not happening. But yeah, you're right. He has a no movement clause, and aside from his immovable contract, that's another hurdle. But in a perfect world, if they can get rid of him, I think that would help them out so much.
Yeah, Kaapo Kakko would be a centerpiece in a trade for Austin Matthews. Anthony, you clicked one. I'm sorry. Go to that one.
No, I unclicked it.
Oh, you unclicked it. Okay.
Yeah, because you had it up. Yeah.
By the way, Anthony, do you know who's older than John Tavares? Sidney Crosby. Well, no, that's true. I'm definitely older than John Tavares. Sidney Crosby could play 3 more years.
Well, yeah, he's got 3 more years left on his contract after this. So, yeah,
he's only 34 years old.
Round. Yeah. Round. I don't unless he God forbid, sustained a career-ending concussion, which you would hate to see. I think he could play 3 more years. The guy's a pristine athlete, takes care of his body. Say what you will about him, but he's great in that regard. So yeah, I think he absolutely could play 3 more years. There's really no question with this. Again, unless he had suffered some sort of catastrophic injury, but I think he will play 3 more years.
I was shocked this morning when I saw 34 years old and just went, he's 34 years old. I forgot that he's 10 years younger than me. Wow. He might be able to play 5 or 6 more years. I gotta go around on this one. And, you hope it again. I don't think he's as concussion prone as people think, because remember in 2012, it was more whiplash that was the problem. But man, this guy, I know I'm singing his praises right now, and Ranger fans, they all want to just go, hey, and we got by him. He's a wuss, blah, blah, blah. Well, 100% Sidney Crosby would have been a nightmare for the New York Rangers in Game 7. I would take him on my team any day. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't feel the way I felt about him early in his career. I know he still whines at times, but I used to hate him, and I guess similar to Tom Brady. Like, I used to hate Brady, but I've learned to respect him. And at this point, I say to myself, it's not worth spending time and energy to hate a guy. It's not worth my time and energy to hate Crosby. I mean, he's one of the best players. He's one of the best players we've ever seen. I know he's great from what I understand, the community of Pittsburgh. He's a good ambassador for the sport. And also too, my Islanders have handled him pretty easily in the playoffs. And I think that, so it's kind of like he hasn't really been a thorn in their side there, and it brings down the hatred level. He was pretty much non-existent in the last 2 years the Islanders played them in the playoffs. So that probably has something to do with it. But
I think Johnny Red says it all best. And New York, we all say this about all of our guys. If you're not on our team, we're gonna boo you. That's just how easy it is.
Yeah.
I had somebody years ago when Andy Pettitte was a member of the Astros, and I was at Shea Stadium, and I booed him. And somebody goes, "Really?" I went, "Yeah, he was a Yankee. He wasn't a Met. He wasn't on my team." By the way, speaking about Tom Brady, I believe your team is the last one to shut him out, and that's a while ago. That's like 2003 or something like that. So. And that was on opening day. So I believe that's true. I got to double check. But by the way, we really kind of set the comments on fire for a minute. Crosby will play the Olympic diving team. Crosby has a lot of mileage and just wants one more. Yeah, well, I mean, I think Crosby needs something more. He won't, to impersonate Packers fan, he won't, if the goons don't stop headhunting. Oh, and that helmet screwed us. Yeah, that's, you should. I heard Paul Bissonnette today, and just sorry, I disagree with you. Yeah, well, I'd give up. I would actually make that trade.
Well, yeah, because the guys you're giving up, but I would not want Tavares. I mean, I honestly would. He's for the money that he makes and his foot speed now and everything, and his I would not take Tavares.
By the way, Tommy Smith in the house, Hicksville, let's go. What would be Kakko's trade value at this point? Kakko actually has a pretty good trade value, though. But I just don't. I don't think you should trade Kakko. That's that simple. And
I mean, I don't think his trade value is not insanely high. I mean, he hasn't proved anything yet. So I think I mean, I made my feelings on him. If you were able to get Mark Scheifele, I would pack Kakko's bags in that trade for him. The cliche, I drive him to the airport too. So yeah, but
well, by the way, David hit it right on the head. The Lawyer Malloy game. That was like the week before they cut Lawyer Malloy. He shows up in Buffalo, and there it goes. Yeah, Paul missed the net. As they say. Actually, I kind of watched them today, and they were all pretty good. By the way, Everest, I starred your comment. We're going to be coming back to that because during the Q&A session, you're 100% right on that one. So that is actually going to conclude Bar Talk for today. So, guys, I'd love it if I could see more icons when we're doing this, but I know we're all preoccupied. worrying about the Adam Fox picture. Don't worry about that. I got everybody in there. Well, THQ, did you want me to enter you in there for the Fox thing? Let me know. Just put that in there. But Anthony, one more discussion topic before we get into Q&A. We talked about the
Yep.
Battle of Alberta.
Yep.
And do you know the last time those two teams played?
In the playoffs?
Yeah.
Was it the year was it the year the Flames won the cup?
No, 1991, Tikkanen in
91.
overtime.
Okay.
Last time those two teams played each other. So I got to ask you this. Obviously, the Rangers and Islanders are on this list. We're Big Apple hockey. They haven't played since 1994, and if Islander fans remember that series at all, there's a bitter taste in their mouth. What playoff series would you like to see between two teams that either haven't played or haven't played in a long time?
Let's see. Buffalo and Boston always had some good matchups. Mayday. So that I think that that would kind of be a cool one to see if Buffalo got good again. I would say off the top of my head another one. I would like to see. There's still a lot of clearly the Sharks and the Knights don't like each other from the whole playoff series when Pavelski got hurt. I know the Sharks PR team was tweeting when Vegas got eliminated and rooting for other teams. I think that would be, even though it happened somewhat recently, I think that would be a very hostile matchup if it occurred again. And then I would say, that's really all I can think of right now. I'll let you kind of go and I'll kind of ponder some other ones. But
I think Flyers Islanders haven't been seen in, well, other than the bubble. I forgot about the bubble for a second. Nobody gave a fuck about the bubble. But all right. So I had the Flyers Islanders locked and loaded. God damn it. That sucks.
Nope.
I would probably have to say the Sharks and the Kings would be a good one. I'd like to see them go at it again. There's a lot that I'm trying to think of. Like I can't recall the Maple Leafs and the Rangers playing anytime ever in my life. Obviously,
you know what, you mentioned Montreal. Because Montreal played Toronto in the bubble. I would like to see Toronto and Montreal in front of fans. That would be a really good series.
Even like Detroit versus the Rangers would be a good one. There's because I mean, after all, you're starting to see now the second year in a row Tampa Bay versus Florida, and that's the thing. You get these rivalries that they really come up, and you really start to see like how just the fan base is hating each other, the teams starting to hate each other. There's just Colorado, Detroit. Johnny Red brought up a great one right here. I still, by the way, I loved the comment of what's the greatest rivalry in all sport in all hockey, and it was the Leafs in the first round. Somebody tweeted, but John D. Lee, you're right about that one. Rangers Devils, that's in there, and Hextall, that was great.
It'll be a good one eventually when Seattle becomes, I guess, a good team.
I think I know what you're about to say. Go ahead.
Vancouver and Seattle, that's a natural rivalry. They're so close together. Let them build up some history. That would be a good one, being their close proximity.
And Marc is right about that. Like you're starting to really see a budding rivalry between the Rangers and the Canes. That's starting to get out there. And Seattle versus Vancouver.
By a minute.
Marc, I gotta add your name on the list, and THG, I gotta get you on that one. So, but there's see, St. Louis Detroit would be a great one again, but now they can only meet in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
Hate that. I hate that Detroit is not in with those teams in the West, but They are. There was sorry, there was another one I had to add in there. And oh, there you go, Mark. And I think I completely butchered your name right there. And I did, yes, an extra R. So yeah, guys, keep throwing some names on the list of playoff series, teams that haven't played in a long time. Do you think it would actually be a great playoff series? And we're gonna get to the end of this. We're gonna do the drawing for that. We're gonna do some Q&A. So I'm just taking down a couple more names on here because I know Big Daddy just got on there. Hawks and Kings. That would be actually a really good one. We haven't seen that one since 2015. So Hawks and Kings. Those were great ones. Now, the Rangers and the Devils, the last time we saw them, 2012, they were pretty good.
Yep.
And see, Islanders Leafs was such a great rivalry in the early.
Yeah, that would be a
2000s.
good one too. Yeah.
That's a good one. And then it was Islanders Senators right after that, which that didn't last as long, but
no, I was they played once. It was Senators beat them in 5 games. That wasn't really much of anything.
no, it really wasn't much of anything, but it looked like it could have been because I think they split the first 2 games.
They
if I
did.
recall correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you thought that was going to be there. I mean, I have to agree with a lot of the guys that are saying Avalanche Red Wings.
Those were good, great series.
Those were great series. So
I remember the sound clip of what was it, Dino Cicerelli saying, I can't believe I shook that guy's hand, referring to Claude Lemieux.
No, I wasn't. Actually, yeah, it might have been Dino Cicerelli. Because Dino Cicerelli was on the 96 team. He wasn't on the 97 team, which, by the way...
Like, remember, I can't believe I shake in reference to Lemieux getting drilled by Maltby.
Arizona versus the Bank.
I mean, Maltby getting drilled by Lemieux.
And, or I know Chris Draper was in there, too.
Sorry, not Maltby. Draper got drilled by Claude Lemieux, yeah.
Yeah, he had his face broke, just cracked open. So that was fun. Shawnee, by the way, I see you right there. I don't have your name on this list. Let me get you on there. Yeah, it was Dino. Everest is got you on there. Like I said, Everest, we're going to be coming back to that in a minute. Sean Stadler. And
it's going to be city council.
Oh, what was that? Oh, yeah, versus yeah, that is true. Well, again, the problem with Arizona is they let their city planners do everything, and then the city planners.
I mentioned this.
Put it in a spot when nobody wants to go.
What I don't understand is that, so after the Coliseum closed originally and then got refurbished, the Islanders went back there. Bettman said it wasn't sustainable and the Islanders couldn't play. Meanwhile, it held 13,000 people. That wasn't okay, but the Coyotes could play at a 5,000 seat arena for the foreseeable future. Can't even have their logo, goddamn center ice. I mean, I don't understand the logic there.
I agree with you on that one.
He's trying too hard to save a team that, frankly, Quebec would. Oh my God, their fans would go into a tizzy if they got the team back. They'd probably be so excited they go streaking. Like, well, I don't.
Let me enlighten you on this one thing. I just got to find out. Get expand it. Arizona's population 1.6 million, and you can actually get people in that area that care about hockey. Denver is only 715,000.
Yeah.
So that's why they're trying to crack that. And that's why I still think Arizona can be saved. I really do think Arizona can be saved, not just because I'm likely going to move out there. It's just it's players do like being from out there. I mean, after all, you have Austin Matthews, who's from Arizona. Mm-hmm. I know, I think partially raised in California, but it's yes, very true. Arizona is the love child, but again, you're leaving it up to the city planners, and they're putting it in the wrong spot. Here's another franchise that's just in the wrong spot. The Tampa Bay Rays. They shouldn't be where they are. They should be on the other side of Tampa. But whatever.
Like, I get, like, if it's July, because free agency is July 13th again, not July 1st. maybe next year we'll be back to normal July 1st. But if you're a player and your agent calls you on July 13th and says, "Oh, the Arizona Coyotes are interested in you," like why? I mean, aside from I understand living's a great place to live, up and coming, but why in the world would you sign with a team that A is going to suck, B plays in front of 5,000 people, and let's face it, at times that number may be 2,500 or 3,000. Why? I don't.
This is the thing that I kind of find interesting about that experiment. I know we started the show with this, and by the way, just to say for that core, Jonathan Huberdeau, Peter Laviolette, and what was the last one? Oh, Sheldon Keefe. There you go. There's all three of them. I got them right.
I can assure you that Jacob Chikrin is probably counting down the days until trades trades can happen right now, but you know what I mean. He's probably counting down the days to where action picks up and he'll be dealt by the draft. He probably can't wait to get the hell out of there.
But I gotta ask this: is it gonna be like this? How do I even want to say it? Like a luxury environment where it's 5,000 seats? Is it going to be really loud? Is it going to be something? It could be. There could be positives that come out of this, but I do have to agree with you. For 2 years, if you're a player, you're going over there because you're a reclamation project that needs to fix your career, a la Shane Gostisbehere. You're drafted, and which he did. You're drafted there, and you just got to go, or you're Andrew Ladd, and nobody else will take you. You're basically the Tootsie. You're basically the Tootsie of the NHL.
Like,
so,
when the draft lottery happened, Shane Wright was probably like, "Thank God that the Coyotes didn't win the lottery," because I mean,
right,
man.
And Tommy, you're right about this. You want the Thrashers back, but Atlanta's already failed twice. There's no need for a third time.
Those powder blue jerseys.
Yeah, and the one arm with the strip that went down with the Thrashers on there. Yeah. Well, they're still waiting to win their first home. They're waiting to win their first playoff game. Never mind anything else. I mean, hell, you want to talk about the Thrashers got swept by the Rangers in their only playoff series. They're still waiting for their first playoff win. Can't believe the Rangers had more series against a defunct team than the New York Islanders over the last 30 years. Jesus, that's unbelievable. All right, guys. So thanks very much for joining us in this segment. We're going to be switching over to Q&A in a moment. But the first things first, I got everybody's names on here. I think I got everybody, because there's about 37 of you that has been in the chat. There's been about 45. Thank you all for joining me. And, I always want to do some of these every now and again. Always say thank you. Turned on the subscribers only, so that way you guys also, by the way, you don't have to worry about bots from sex chat channels that are trying to get on here, which is always great. So I got the random wheel of names, and everybody is in the chat. We're ready to go. All right, let's do this. Oh, it's Core. All right, Core, you're going to get this. Send me a direct message on the Instagram, because I don't have your contact. So make sure you get me on that. So it's Marc Corso. Yeah, no whammy. But no, guys, thanks very much on that. So let's get to some Q&A. And also, I had Everest, who was already highlighted for this one, Anthony, because we're going to take your questions. And what do you think about this? They're not selling tickets outside their region.
This actually isn't a surprise to me. I remember in 2019 when the Islanders played the Hurricanes in round 2, which unfortunately we all know what happened. I remember seeing something similar. where they weren't gonna sell tickets to Islander fans. They want to keep their building all Hurricane fans. I don't like it. I think anybody should have access to go. But I mean, I guess from the organizational standpoint, they want to maintain that home ice advantage, and being that there are a lot of New York transplants in Florida and Carolina. They don't want so many Ranger fans there. I guess it's kind of cutting into their home ice advantage. So I understand the organization's viewpoint on it. I don't agree with it though. I think anybody should be able to go. But
Well, apparently I could just contact Tommy Smith and try to get in there. So that's a good thing. But I understand it too, and I also understand it. Let's go with Tampa Bay. Back in 2015, they started a policy where you have to have a Tampa Bay jersey on. You have to wear blue if you're in the lower bowl, because they don't want people. They don't want a million Ranger fans over there, and you're getting you're not even looking like your fans are supporting you. Look, I get it, but I also get that if the fans want to pay the price for the ticket, just let them go. I mean, I paid a lot of money to go to the Masters this year, so it's just you shouldn't stop commerce on that. But you want your home ice advantage, then have your fans be better. And the same thing in a way goes for Madison Square Garden, where we're a little bit too corporate.
Yeah.
And in that case, corporations hand out your tickets to fans. Mm-hmm. That's what they're supposed to be for. It's not just to entertain a client. To be like, oh, Buffy, look, the Rangers have scored and the Ruffians. You're like, shut the hell.
I've often talked about when it comes to trading for McDavid, it's almost not worth it because of what you'd have to give up. And here, between Fox and Trouba's salary, $8 million and $9, you're talking 17. So you're talking about the Oilers, and obviously not what he'll make. So you're talking $17+ million in salary going in. They're the best player in the deal is Draisaitl, who doesn't make nearly that going out. That wouldn't work. That wouldn't work for Edmonton. Fox, no. Yes. Hedl hasn't really proved much. So it wouldn't be worth it for the Rangers because they'd probably want Fox. They'd probably want multiple first-round picks. And instead of Trouba and Hedl, they would probably want, Lafreniere and such. So, yeah, that the Oilers would say no to that. Maybe if they offered Fox, Lafreniere, and 3 firsts, maybe at that point they'd probably say yes. But that's how much they value Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah, and I don't think it would be enough. Also, no matter how much I like Adam Fox, and no matter how much I do like Jacob Trouba, but I don't think it would be enough. And though Filip Chytil's changing the Rangers' mind, I don't think he's going to really move the needle in a lot of other teams, especially if it's Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah.
If you start a Leon Draisaitl conversation, the words Mika Zibanejad better be coming out of your mouth. So,
yep. This one, I know you asked if we addressed Lambert earlier. We did. So I talked about this a little bit. I think Lane Lambert has obviously been Trotz's guy for a while, so I think he's going to keep a lot of his structures in place. But I do think he's going to allow more offensive creativeness from the players like Barzal, Nelson, etc. So I think they're going to be a more offensive team for sure. As far as a top-level forward sign here, I do. I think, I referenced that poll a couple of months ago about agents, what teams they steer their clients towards. The Islanders were up there at the top, brand new building. I think if the money's there, money talks. So, if the Islanders offer Gaudreau $10 million, Forsberg $9 million, I think they're going to strongly consider it. And as far as Forsberg goes, Forsberg was under Trotz and Lane Lambert for a while in Nashville. And oddly enough, I heard him and Trotz didn't really get along that well because at that time he was still young and kind of sent them down a couple of times. So maybe now that Trotz is gone, that could be an interesting fit for him. But to answer your question, yes, I do.
Well, by the way, you just answered also the question of why it was more important for them to say that the Islanders couldn't play at the Coliseum, but would need a new arena, because they kind of did need a new arena. And you upgraded to UBS Arena. Now the Islanders are a premier franchise. They're sort of in that second tier right now, easily, and I think they can attract a free agent. And I like your reasoning behind it, that he might like Lambert a lot more than Lambert. I went to Highlander for a second. Christopher Lambert. But you know what? I'm still thinking Forsberg might stay in Nashville, but I think the Islanders would probably be a second choice. And if it's Matt, now here's the other question. Now let's get away from Lambert for a minute. Would that get Johnny Gaudreau here?
Well, Gaudreau is, as you know, he's an East Coast boy. He was born South. He grew up in South Jersey. And I get the sense that while he says he likes Calgary and all that, I think he would, with everything going on too in this world, I think he'd probably prefer to come back and play for a team in the U.S., maybe more specifically on the East Coast. So yeah, I mean, again, money talks. I think he's going to command $10 million plus. So if a team like New Jersey or Philly, the Islanders,
Philly, I think, is the one that's going to try to jump on him.
Yeah, if someone throws him $10 million plus, it's an Eastern team. I think he would. I think he would definitely consider it. And I mean, I would go from 6 to midnight if the Islanders signed Johnny Gaudreau or Filip Forsberg. I mean, my God, the closest they came to signing a top free agent was Artemi Panarin, which we all know how that went down. And I'll never forget Bob McKenzie and Elliot Friedman, because the day before they both honestly, I was that excited. I remember the time too. It was like 6:30 at night. I'm sitting outside, having dinner and having a couple of drinks, and I see Bob McKenzie's tweet that all signs point to Artemi Panarin signing a long-term contract with the Islanders tomorrow. And I was like, oh my God, this is incredible.
I have to say this, Anthony, and my friend Chris and I, we were going over this the night of the free agents frenzy. So it didn't even happen yet. It didn't get to 12 o'clock yet. But we went through all the tweets that everybody was going through. And I remember reading that tweet. And I looked at my buddy Chris and just went, hey, Chris, I got to ask you this question. Where are they playing next year? Oh, they're playing at the Barclays, and he's signing with the Rangers. And it's just, as soon as the word "and" came out of his mouth, no, one stadium. That's exactly what it was. And if it was UBS Arena right now, Artemi Panarin would be a New York Islander, maybe.
Well, so Core, I agree with you. He definitely used the Islanders as leverage, but the caveat to that is it was no secret he wanted to play in a big city, whether it was Miami to play with the Panthers or New York, the Islanders and the Rangers. I think ultimately he would have been okay with playing for the Islanders. So for instance, if the Rangers didn't up their ante when he said, hey, the Islanders are giving me X, if you don't come up a little bit, I'll go to the Islanders. If the Rangers would have said no, I think Panarin really would have signed with the Islanders at that point. So you're right. He did use the Islanders as leverage. But I also think if the Rangers said no, he would have signed with the Islanders.
Yeah. And as Cora's saying right there, he almost went to the Avs. It would be great if Sammy Blais played. By the way, I'm drinking a lot of water today, anticipating the need to rehydrate. So, although I'm pretty sure rehydrating means you have to hydrate afterwards, but probably going to be pretty drunk. What if the Rangers do not sign Copper Strome and roll with Mott and Rooney, Mika, Gaudreau? Well, here's the thing. Then you have the money for Vetrano, because I got to go with what Tommy's question is. Actually, this is Tommy's question, but Capo Caco's getting a raise. It's not going to be much. I think he's going to get a bridge deal. I think he's only going to get about maybe a 2-year deal, like $2.5 million, because the Rangers haven't exactly gotten much production out of him. But it's not going to be anything that's going to really break the bank. him nor Lafreniere, even though I've
So-
seen Lafreniere's praises. You don't have to pay them that much yet.
I feel like if it shook out like that, the Rangers become a weaker team because Mika is your number one, and then Rooney, Mott, and Gaudreau as your other centers. None of them are 2Cs. They're bottom 6 guys. So
This is where you start looking for other guys that are cost less to fill a second line role.
No, I
there are
get
those players out there.
But those 4 guys as your centers from 1 to 4 it's not enough offense. It would not be a good
If
thing.
anything, you'd want Mott, Rooney, and Gaudreau to be a line.
I told you what I think it's the best way for them. I think let Strome go, re-sign Kopp, and acquire someone in the ilk of Scheifele. Because now you're talking Mika, Scheifele, and Kopp as your top 3 centers. That's very.
The thing is, they're gonna have to try to figure out how to clear $6 million worth of cap. And guess what? That's what a GM's job is to do.
We talked about that when last time we were on. I painted that picture, how much cap space they have and who they have to sign and stuff. It's gonna be hard for them to add that, big fish, quote unquote, if you will, if they wanted to, being their cap situation. But David's right there. He's right. They don't. I think when we looked, they have a little over 6 million, right? A little over 6
million. And as it was said, that's even without Strome and Georgiev in there.
So a little over 6 million to get a new backup goalie, re-sign Kopp, re-sign Kakko, improve their defense, and maybe get another center if they wanted to get higher in center. That's not even possible at that point. I mean, 6 million. You're talking. I mean, you're talking. Kopp will probably get at least 5 of that 6 million.
But that's the reason why it's so important that they had to win this year.
Yeah,
that's why. And,
I agree with that.
And you gotta believe that Kakko and Lafreniere, given bigger roles, are going to be better. They're not going to be relegated to third line work and never getting any PP1 time. So that's what you have to look at. You have to start doing things. And this is the way that I've said this. And you guys have heard me say this before. You want to re-sign Ryan Strome, then you trade Kakko and Lafreniere, both of them right now. Because what the hell are you doing with them? You're just stashing them up on the wall.
Yeah.
They're not like it's something that's got to just come on. You got to use these guys. Eventually, you got to use them. And we heard it with Anthony about it. Oliver Wahlstrom not getting enough time. Oliver Wahlstrom's barely in his second year. Lafreniere has had more playing time than Wahlstrom. And it's just, no. Like, again, Vinny Trocheck, by the way, is going to get, I think, $6.5 million easy.
Yeah.
So he's out of the Rangers price range. What then you have to start doing is you have to start scouring free agents who are good, not necessarily great, and then seeing if they can flourish in your system. I'm trying to pull a name out of a hat. Paul Stastny, maybe.
The easiest option for the Rangers to free up cap is trade Jacob Trouba, but there's a little thing called the no movement in the way. But if they could somehow get him to waive, I mean, that would open up a lot of things. I mean, you're talking $8 million. I mean, granted, some salary might be going back the other way because I'm sure a team would need to send some back to absorb $8 million. But even if it frees you up $6 million, that helps them a lot.
2K is right about this one. Patrick Nemeth's contract is going to be off the books. And as I've said before, if Lou can find a way to trade Andrew Ladd, who didn't see the ice for a year,
you're right, yeah,
for 2. The New York Rangers can find a way to trade Patrick Nemeth and $2.75 million for 2 years.
You would think,
yeah.
You
want to know where he's going? I'll give you a hint. It sounds like Arizona. It's just like, hey Patrick, do you want to play it all and collect your money, or do you want to go down to Hartford?
Well, teams like Arizona and Ottawa, they're going to need to absorb unwanted salary from other team to hit the cap floor. So those
Buffalo's
teams
another one, by the way.
Yeah, are going to help cap strapped teams for sure.
But You don't think that's going to be Detroit this time around, because Detroit's going to start saying, "We'll take it. We're going to start paying people."
They're gonna start competing. So I mean, they still probably would do it, but they're gonna want an asset.
Anthony, by the way, because we talked about this, I think I think I talked about this on Monday when I was by myself, which, by the way, I'm impressed I was able to do a few shows completely by myself. Usually I need one of these guys because they're better at being the solo talk shows than I am. But the Nemeth contract, as soon as it happened, Filk first guessed that. He just went,
said it.
bad contract.
Yep.
Was there a bad contract that you looked at and went, no, that's not a good one?
I'm trying to think back to last offseason.
Like, I mean, and not necessarily it has to be hockey, because from my example was Jacoby Ellsbury. I just went, that he ain't playing out that contract.
Yeah. I have to think about that one right now off the top of my head. I'm not really sure.
All right. Great solo show there, Justin. Thank you. But actually, I do believe Hunt. I think Tenorti's got a two-way contract. I don't think Hunt does. But I think Hunt's only got. I'm going to double check on Hunt. I think Hunt is only this more. I thought he was a 1-year deal, Hunt. All right, we're still talking about Dryden Hunt.
No, Dryden Hunt's got 1 year left after this season.
He does. All right.
Yeah.
It's like nothing. Dryden Hunt is 7.62 million, or sorry, thousand. 7.62. Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah.
I could see them moving Hedel, his 2.3 million. I could see them moving him.
There's a lot of rumors that Hedel has actually gotten more faith in with the Rangers brass that they might actually want to keep him.
They could keep him, but like I said, they're gonna have to cut salary somehow, and him at 2.3 is definitely reasonable. So,
yeah, and what I think it comes down to is it's sort of like that that GIF of Nathan Fillion where he's going like this. That's what they're going to be doing the entire offseason. It's going to be cut this guy. But that's what you do when you start making all these decisions, like paying Mika Zibanejad $8 million and Andrew Kopp $8 million. Adam Fox $8 million, not Andrew Kopp. And by the way, Wicked brought up a good one. Mark Edward Vlasic was a bad contract from the offset.
With that thought, the Sharks giving Erik Karlsson that contract. I knew that wasn't going to age well.
Yeah. The bottom lip is quivering. Just
Elliot Freeman in his 32 thoughts actually said that the Sharks are going to try to look to move one of Burns or Karlsson this offseason. I mean, good luck with both of them because they're those are big contracts, but
yeah, I do think that there's definitely bargain basement centers that the Rangers could probably bring on in. And that's where you'd have to focus on, like guys that haven't proved it yet, or maybe even guys. And I'm not talking about Alexander Wenberg. So I'm talking about guys that, because if the way teams are constructed now, I mean, again, Artemi Panarin is paid like a center for a reason, people, because he's a wing that sort of plays like a center. And that's how he distributes. He had Artem Anisimov I think he had a 25, 28 goal season. Trust me, Artemi Panarin can play with anybody. Don't worry about Ryan Strome. Worry about Ryan Strome when he takes a penalty to end a period yet again.
So Patrick Kane, I think there's a chance maybe he's moved this offseason. He's got 1 year left going into his contract. But last I heard at the deadline when they talked about him, they said he hadn't really made up his mind of what he wanted to do. So he could be traded this offseason if need be. But again, that's $10.5 million. So not a lot of teams can really absorb that without sending a decent amount of salary back. But Patrick Kane, if he is put on the market, despite his age and his salary, he'll be sought after. He absolutely will be. Still a dynamic player.
I wonder where his location is, and also, don't you ever kind of like hate it that we're never going to really see guys that play their entire careers with one team anymore?
Yeah. It's funny.
And if they do, it'll be against their will, like Mike Richter.
It's funny you say that because Barzell, in his exit, interviews at this season, he mentioned how he thinks it's cool when an athlete plays his whole career in one spot. And obviously mentioned he wants to be an Islander for life. So you're right, Mark, in that vein. I mean, you don't really see it too much anymore. Patrick Kane, he might decide he wants to be a player like that, who he say he spent his whole career at one team. Then again, he's getting up there, but I think he's 33, but he's still at the top of his game, and I'm sure he wants to win more. So I think ultimately he's going to decide to move on. But again, not many teams right now can take on $10.5 million. So if he's traded this offseason, it's either going to be to a bottom feeder, which I don't see, because then you might as well stay in Chicago, or I'll throw this out there, and again, it's probably not likely, but if he ever felt a burning desire to go home, I'm sure the Sabres would take him with open arms. But I don't see him. I don't see him agreeing to go to Buffalo. But again, you never know.
Well, I mean, I think everybody always talks about whenever somebody can go back to their hometown. That's always a big thing, because usually that always happens. Look, I don't even want to ever entertain the thought about Patrick Kane being a New York Ranger, because A, I don't want to get my hopes up, and B, I just think it's never going to happen. So if it somehow did,
I hate the shadow dream. There's literally, we just said the Rangers have $6 or $7 million of cap space, and they are not getting Patrick Kane. They just can't do it. They have to send out a ton of salary, like Jacob Trouba, but he's probably not going to waive. You just re-signed Chris Kreider. He's not going anywhere. So it
would be more of a Brendan Shanahan situation, where he kind of comes for less money just to say, I played for the New York Rangers for 2 years.
You're talking about when he's a free agent?
Yeah, when he's a free agent.
Yeah, I mean, maybe then. Yeah, but as for this current season and the offseason, there's no shot.
By the way, hey, Romanello. Yeah, hey, dude, you missed the drawing for the Fox thing. Now, I saw your series, the series preview. I got to tell you, this is where I disagree with you, that if all the top 6 forwards, all the teams, the Rangers have probably the most talented top 6 forwards, except for Aho. You could throw him in there, but as far as that goes, I worry about that third line. That third line, Anita Ryder, Stahl, and Fost, that could be horrible for the Rangers.
That's silly to say you're not afraid of Brendan Smith step on. Of course you're not, but that doesn't mean they're the guys they do have: Aho, Svechnikov, Trocheck, Nina Ryder, Nikash, Domi. I mean, they are deep. And actually, speaking of Fost is he's a great bottom 6 player for them. I mean, he plays his game. But to say, I mean, yeah, of course you're not afraid of those guys. But what about the rest of their team? They're a very deep team. And that Jordan Stahl too. And then Big Daddy just said Seth Jarvis. Forgot about him. Seth Jarvis.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that team. Don't underestimate that team, man. They are a very dangerous team.
And I think that's why when you get the guys that are. Sorry, Anthony. I was talking over you for a second.
It's fine.
Yeah. That's why when you get the people, when we're actually trying to look with a little bit more of an objective lens, I'll be honest with you. I always try to say, hey, the Rangers can win the series this way. The Rangers can lose the series this way. That's why even in the preview, and I know like some of the guys were on me to be like, hey, what's your pick? I'm like, look, it's not going to be that easy. I usually go to Daily Faceoff. I look at the defensive matchups. I look at the lines, and then I go through the lines, especially in a playoff series. You're figuring, team line 1 versus line 3, but like we did this last year with the Islanders. And I think the key matchup we said was the Jeff Carter line versus the Matt Barzell line. I think that's what they were going to end up with or something like that. But this one I went, okay, if Stahl gets Zibanejad and then Aho gets Panarin, it's then going to come down to the Kid line versus the Trocheck line. And I'm not in love with Brett Pesce, and I think Brady Shea you could force turnovers on. But and I don't like their third pairing as much, but they're Jacob Slavin is great.
Brett Pesce's actually a really good stay-at-home defensive defenseman. He's no Shea. Yeah, I get Shea. I don't like him, but Brett Pesce's a solid defenseman.
I'm just not in love with him. I like him. Like if I took half of what I think about Jacob Slavin and transferred it to Brett Pesce, that would still be a pretty good defenseman.
So this one, Brad Lambert in this year's draft, who actually at one point was like Central Scouting, was going to be like a top 3 pick for whatever reason. Now he's slated to go in that 10 to 15 range. So Islanders pick 13th. So to answer that question, if they can get him, that would be fantastic. And I think he's actually a nephew of Lane Lambert. So he's my favorite prospect for the Islanders to get if he falls there.
Rod Brindamore, of course, great coach, by the way. Sean is right about that. Both teams coming off of Game 7. Tony DeAngelo is going to burn us bad. No, you know what? That's the thing. Tony DeAngelo might burn himself. Hopefully the Rangers get Alexander Georgiev to check him. Well, we can rephrase that a little bit better, Joe. But I know what you mean. Lane Lambert, huh? His nephew is going to be on the team.
That's what I saw on earlier on Twitter. I mean, I didn't verify it, but I heard he's the nephew of Lane.
Think that hurts or helps a player? Like Lowry's kid was on the team in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Just thought. Because hey, if you're the best player on the team and your coach's dad, what are you argue with? When you're not the best player and your coach is the dad, that's where things get a little bit trickier.
Yeah, I just looked it up. So Brad Lambert was born in Lahti, Finland, to a Canadian father and Finnish mother. He's a dual citizen. His uncle Lane played in the NHL. Is currently the head coach for the Islanders. So yes, it's his uncle.
What about Bodie Wild, by the way, for you guys?
Well, Lou exiled him to because he wasn't vaccinated. So he loaned him out to a team somewhere in Europe. So I don't know. I don't know where he stands next season, if being that obviously the COVID situation's much better than it was. So I don't know how Lou will view it next year. But I would like him back in the fold. At one point, he had a lot of potential. So we'll see.
And Aturatu or Ratty?
Yeah, you know what? I love him. I think he had a great year in Europe. I actually just saw yesterday as well on Twitter. He was named the European Player of the Year. And then once he came over to the AHL, he had a good series in Bridgeport in their playoff run. So he's gonna be a big part of the Islanders going forward. I think he still needs another year. I'd be surprised if he made the club next season. But only good things hearing about him. Which is why some Islander fans say, okay, well, if we want to get a big fish via trade, not free agency, and brought up Tarasenko or Fiala, I'm not trading him. I'm not trading him in a trade like that. I'm just not.
Big Daddy is asking, I don't know if you guys covered this, but after the first round, who do you think is the most dangerous team?
Colorado.
Colorado. They're well rested.
Yeah,
I know both of us had that answer locked. But here's the thing: everything changes. Series changed in a heartbeat. Look what happened with the Rangers. They're down 2-0, dead in the water. All of a sudden, Sidney Crosby takes an elbow to the face and is out for the game, or head. There is head contact. And then next thing you know, the Rangers wake up, score 3 goals in 2 minutes and 42 seconds. They even let the game tying goal be scored 11 seconds later, and then even still won the game. And then they trailed again 2-0 in game 6 and again won the game. And they trailed in game 7 and again won the game. So you never know. Things can always change. Look at the LA Kings.
Yeah. So, Corey, that's a good point. You're absolutely right. At one point, he was slated to be the first overall pick of the draft, and it was a couple. I read an article a while ago on it. And he got an injury, and then he he was slow to get back, and his game suffered, and then COVID hit, and he just had, like they said, like the worst year ever, personally and professionally playing hockey. So, it's weird. Sometimes things like that happen, but he's still a really talented guy, and I'm glad that the Islanders got that pick from Detroit in the Leddy trade, and he's certainly our best prospect. And the Islanders are going to do the right thing and bring him along slowly. But yeah, you're right. It's crazy how that happened, but I'm glad it happened, and I guess we'll have to see how it works out.
Romanell, we're going to come back to that in a moment, by the way. Because I got to ask you, what is different between the Ratty situation and Josh Hosang?
Well, first, Tom, you're right. It's another similar situation. Lambert, like I said just a couple of minutes ago, he was supposed to be, a top pick, like 2 or 3. And now, again, he's slated to do 10 to 15. So I'm not sure exactly what happened there. I'd have to read up a little bit about it more. Sometimes some guys just mature late, and then they take more strides in the draft year than maybe he did. But he's still supposed to be a really good player. So if he falls to the Islanders, that's another huge win for them.
Because when you see something like that, a guy sliding like that, you think he didn't interview well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So
to answer your question with Hosang, I think Hosang was questions about his character and his attitude.
Yeah.
In that effect.
And I think Steven alluded to this a while ago, that there were just some questions about him in his draft year, and he went all the way down. And by the way, if the Islanders got him, yeah, he was really good in the 20 World Juniors, as Tommy's saying. But you know what? And they got a great value pick.
That's a huge win for a team who's having trouble, building up their farm system again, to get steals in Ratu and then maybe Lambert, in the mid-round pick. Those are 2 gems that, if pan out, like I said, huge steals. So hopefully it works out that way. We'll see.
I started this one for Core because I want to get back to it. And yes, Boston took him 7. And again, I know I can hear your fandom coming through this. But I do have to say this. One thing we outlined on yesterday's show, especially with my friend Pete, who's our Hurricanes contributor, but he, as he outlined, the one thing about their bottom 6 especially is they don't play physical. If the Rangers are out physical or can out physical, I'm not even sure if I'm saying it right, but if they can be more physical, let's go with that, then the Hurricanes, they might be in trouble. And like the Hurricanes are a well-coached team, but they don't get really like a Tyler Mott or anything else like that. They don't get guys to mix it up. So
I don't know. I agree with the toughness, because I mentioned that earlier, but I disagree with their depth as their bottom 6. I mean, Jordan Staal is their third line center, and does he play? Does he play with Jarvis and?
No, he plays. No, he plays with your old guy Nino Niederreiter and
that's right.
And Jesper Fast. Those are pretty good players.
Yeah, so that's a good third line. Even the fourth line of Martinook plays a very greasy game. So I got to disagree. Their depth is good. They're as deep of a 4-line team as there is in the playoffs.
And the fourth line is at times can be Derek Stepan and Max Domi and Jordan Martinook. Who wouldn't take that?
Yeah,
now, again, I understand exactly what he's saying and where he's going with this.
No, I know. 1 through 12, they're as deep as anybody. I agree with their third pair. I do, Brendan Smith, but 1 through 12, they are a solid team. They are. And
by the way, everybody's feeling really good about tonight because 80% of people are saying the Rangers are going to win
listen,
tonight.
I love the faith you guys have. I love it. You should have that faith. But if they don't win, if they don't take a game in Carolina, games 1 and 2, done, because the way
Right, because
Carolina is at home,
I think they're going to have to take at least 2 road games.
You absolutely do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is great. A lot of comments in here that you gotta get to. This one, don't even get me started on Michael Del Cole. He was being pegged as this trigger man with a great shot, and his skating sucked, and he's never lived up to it. So that was a huge bust. Thank you, Garcino. Wasted 5th overall pick.
Yeah. Yeah. Garcino, it wasn't exactly the best at drafting. He was the best at finding guys
yeah. If one team was going to slide between Pittsburgh and Washington,
Washington.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
I say Pittsburgh.
Okay, go ahead.
Because Malkin, Letang, and Rust are all free agents, and you would think that Malkin and Letang are locks to come back, but being on talk so far, they're not.
And yeah, based on those talks, and I wonder what it's going to be with that.
I mean,
Rust is gone.
Yeah, Rust was a hidden gem for them. He really kind of came on, and I think now he wants to get paid. So I know in his comments yesterday, he said he would love to be back, but if Pittsburgh has to give the money to keep their guys in Letang and Malkin, they're probably going to lose Rust. So yeah, I say Pittsburgh. I know I've been predicting it. We all have for the last 2 years, but I think Pittsburgh may not be nearly the team they were this season.
Yeah, I'll agree with that one. All right, so what do you got for the next one? Oh, well, by the way, let me give you the reason why I'm saying Washington, because I think they got a lot of guys that are under contract that are getting older, and they are injury-prone players. Like, maybe it's not fair to say the word injury-prone when it comes to Kuznetsov, but there's a lot of guys with a lot of injuries that it makes it tough. And I think Backstrom's got a bad hip, and they're paying him a lot of money. So that's why I just think Washington is probably going to be the one that drops off first. And I really don't believe in their goaltending.
Let me see next one. So this is good. Tom put a good point. Their PK, PK is I hate when the Islanders play against them because they literally, it's almost impossible to carry the puck into the zone on them. The way they stagger the line, it's their PK is suffocating. I know I said 5-on-5, but their PK is even more suffocating than it's 5-on-5. They give you no room out there. It's incredibly good.
There was a conversation I was having about these guys going, I'm not sure if their goaltending, I don't like their goaltending, but I'm not sure if their goaltending is what's needed because they play such a good team defense. Yep. And they really can stifle you down and not get anything out of that. Cor, I'm going to come back to your comment in about 2 seconds. But first, let me just say this. It's just they're so good as a team, frustrating you, not letting you build momentum. And I think watching them in the regular season, I think it's you have to jump on them in the first period and then hold that lead, as opposed to say you get the lead, the Rangers get the lead, and then Carolina comes back, and then Carolina gets one. They're a tougher team to come back on. The Rangers beat them once.
Short answer here, because they couldn't win in Boston. But
and when they didn't have the matchups, that was a problem. So the Rangers have to figure out a way to exploit that.
Yep. That's the simple answer. They couldn't win in Boston, and I'm sure they're going to try to be better on the road this year. I mean, I would be surprised. I'd be surprised again if for the second series in a row if they didn't win a game on the road. I mean, that would be like before the playoffs started and you told me the Hurricanes through 2 rounds aren't going to win a game on the road, I would say the betting odds wouldn't be in your favor. So, but we'll see.
Just to go to this one because Big Daddy, you're saying, and you're right about this because you guys are all talking about Elias Anderson right now in the chats. And yes, the Rangers wasted a draft pick on him. You do not use the NHL draft to draft for need. This isn't the NFL. The player isn't going to be up next year. And a clear example of this is you got people that are either saying the Rangers should have traded, drafted Kirby Dach instead of Capo Caco, and Alexei Lafreniere should have been Quentin Byfield or Lucas Raymond. I love that one, Lucas Raymond. You're gonna bypass the guys that are number 1 and number 2 in central scouting, or number 1 when you're available with them, for guys that are further down the list. I understand that they turned out better right now, but the answer is no. You're not going to reach that far. And I'm well aware. I made a video about the worst draft picks the Rangers ever made, and Hugh Jessamine being number 1, and everybody knows that one. But it's just no. That was also because Hugh Jessamine was a reach, and everybody knew that. It's just when it comes to this is the consensus pick. Every GM makes this pick. There aren't, and what happens when you go to Elias Anderson and you get Elias Anderson, who, by the way, I'm sorry when I say it like this, he might be a nice guy, but he had a screw loose up here, and he showed it when he threw the silver medal into the stands. And maybe I'm the one, and I know everybody touted this guy going, he's going to be captain material one day, like the competitive surge in him. And I was like, so he's not comfortable with winning a silver medal, and he was crying like a baby. No, yeah. And then what happens? The Rangers yo-yoed him a little bit in his first 2 seasons, but you don't see him cracking LA's lineup like there's no tomorrow. And now the Rangers got Will Cooley out of it. So awesome. That Elias Anderson actually is turning out better by not being Elias Anderson. So you don't draft for need in the NHL draft or the MLB draft. All right, next one. So sorry. And Anthony, one more thing to mention in. They also passed on Marnie Necas, who they're playing in this series too.
Yeah. Necas is good. I like him.
And you know what? He's definitely better than Elias Anderson, because after all, he's got more goals for the team that drafted him than Elias Anderson.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Trevor Zegras is another one. You weren't going to draft all the way down for Trevor Zegras. It wasn't going to happen. See, by the way, Anthony, I got to go into this one because Mike is bringing this up. The Canes take a lot of penalties. If the Rangers can figure out how the power play, the series favors the Rangers, if the Canes shut down the PP, the Rangers will need a miracle to win. The Canes shut down 88% of the power plays that they face. 88% on the season.
Yeah, so the Canes do take a lot of penalties, but again, they are so good on the penalty kill. So hypothetically, if the Canes take a lot of penalties and the Rangers can somehow break the Hurricanes' structure on the PK, that would be huge. But the Hurricanes' PK is top notch.
And Anthony, let me go further with this. That one stat that Pete brought up on the broadcast yesterday, and I nearly did a spit take, was Jordan Staal is 59% in faceoffs against Patrice Bergeron.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And that's immediately possession. That's when people go, oh, faceoffs don't matter. I mean, I give Mika Zibanejad credit. He's at 49%, but his faceoffs, we're going to bitch about him in faceoffs in the first 2 periods, and he's going to win more in the third. Yeah. It's just the way he's going to be.
What about this, Corp? That is, you guys could have had a 50-point defense with Noah Dobson. So I thank God that the Rangers,
core. And I'm going to say this to Anthony. They didn't just pass on Noah Dobson. They passed on Oliver Wahlstrom too.
Both of them, yeah. That's
yeah.
I remember that was the year Filk and I were in Dallas, and I thought Filk was it was almost like a cartoon, like cartoon, the steam goes out their ears. He was pretty
I was right there too. Yeah, I was right there too. I was looking up at it across Croakers, and I had a friend of mine that was with me, and it's just
Simon Holmstrom, definitely. I know the kid is very green and young, and they kind of he had a good playoff, so maybe he's starting to turn the corner. But I didn't like that pick for the Islanders. How about you, Mark?
It's Vitaly Kravtsov.
Yeah.
It's Vitaly Kravtsov. And don't get me wrong, I've liked the pick as it's gone on, but I also now still don't like what's been going on with him. Part of it is that, and not necessarily his fault, but I looked at that and I thought the Rangers should have gone after Dobson, who could have been a better player, and they could have gone with Wallstrom. But then I'm at a barbecue and I talked to Brian McCabe, who was with Florida Panthers at the time. They said they were going to take him at 14. It's just that the Rangers kind of reached. I think they were 15, I should say.
Yeah, with Holmstrom's case, I wanted Tomasino from Nashville, who was picked literally the next pick after. That's who I wanted, but unfortunately, it didn't work out that way.
I mean, in a way, I'm trying to think of a different draft pick. I guess Elias Anderson would be right after him because my first thought was, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
And that's going to happen to me during the draft, and then they're breaking it down. And the best part about the NHL draft is everybody's, or any draft for that matter, they're trying to tell you the positive stuff about it. And they couldn't even say it. Anthony, last year, and I'm bringing this up because I'm hearing Blade was on the ice today, and I saw before non-contact jersey. By the way, guys, thanks when you guys supply some information that we haven't been able to get. Last year for the Islanders, Anders Lee had ruptured his ACL and he was out, and he was working his way to get back. He was also under contract.
Yep.
Do you think Barclay Goodrow becoming an RFA might motivate him to try to come back for the playoffs?
Barclay Goodrow is signed.
Oh, sorry, I said Barclay Goodrow. I meant Sammy Blais.
Oh, I mean, maybe because he could kind of show teams that his knee's okay for sure. Yeah. But I'm not sure if he necessarily thinks like that. I'm sure right now he knows he's on the Rangers and like play and contribute. But I mean, it's a valid question. I just think right now he's probably consumed with just getting back and helping the Rangers. But I'm sure maybe in the back of his mind he thinks to himself, if he can get back on the ice and show that his knee's good, that would be good for him. But other than that, I don't know.
By the way, Pete just confirmed for me Jordan Martinook is out again. Kotkaniemi to be the fourth line center with.
I totally forgot about Kotkaniemi too. See, they got a lot of skill.
They got a lot of skill. By the way, Kotkaniemi though, fourth line center, really? But then again, who knows? Fourth line center, he might win those matchups.
Yeah,
I mean, You don't want a guy that's miscast. Because it's not only fair to it's not unfair to the player. Think Bobby Holeek when he was a New York Ranger.
Yeah,
Bobby Holeek, he even said it all the time. He's like, I'm not the guy who's going to carry a team offensively. And you know what? I was a little bit green around the game myself around then, and I didn't understand. I just said this guy sucks. Well, he was also miscast as a top line center. He never was that. He's a matchup center. That's what he is.
Yep.
So. Goaltending will be the difference in game one. Without Anderson, it wouldn't have what? Oh, without Anderson, it wouldn't have gone to game 7. Okay. Damn autocorrect probably picked. Oh, because I see his dead gone right underneath that.
And that's true. It's possible, yeah.
Are you guys uploading clips from a stream still going on? Yeah. Oh, well, this is the stream that's still going on. Did you get to see Filk's Undertaker yesterday?
No.
It was actually pretty good. He actually got the eye roll back and everything. You will rest in peace. Yeah, if that's the case, the Rangers would have drafted Trevor Zegras. Hell, if you want to go back over some draft classes, Henrik Lundqvist would have been drafted number 1 overall in 2000.
Yep.
So,
you know what I'm wondering?
Sometimes we can do that, but play is always hurt. But this one,
Charlie,
yeah.
I'm wondering if I can actually start to.
And by the way, Romanello, no, I don't want to think about it either. Justin Blais will be awesome.
Who?
No, another Justin. Hey, Absolute Bot, welcome to the show. And Look, I actually think if it goes 6, I think the Rangers won the series then. That's what I honestly think. Because then it broke right. If it goes 7, I think it's Carolina. No, Justin Nemeth would be much better, Brody. How are you doing today? Yeah, imagine Del Zotto for Stamkos. Well, imagine Del Zotto with Stamkos, because that's how Del Zotto got most of his points, and everybody went, "Oh, look at this guy." I believe Del Zotto was his teammate. Barkley Blay, yeah. But again, I think there's a motivation for Goudreau to get back, but they still need to figure out if his knee is going to be healthy. You don't want the guy going out there. Let me give a different example. The one guy that I ever knew in any sport that came back within the same season in a short period of time from a torn ACL was Jerry Rice. And he ended up, I think, breaking his kneecap right after that. So it's you got to make sure that the knee is strong enough. I'm not sure if those were related. Still, that's like one of those debates they still have, sort of like the Kevin Durant calf and Achilles thing. So many guys nowadays. Nils for Velarde. I think Velarde's getting too high for Nils now. They're liking what they see. David Wood, you're right about this. McElrath was drafted out of need, but he wasn't even in need. You're correct about that as well. Could have been Cam Fowler, could have been anybody else. And I know I just said another defenseman, but I mean, McElrath was just a bad pick. Oh my goodness.
What
do you got?
I'm currently applying for credentials for the draft.
Nice.
For us.
And I will be nowhere near you for that. Oh, if you can, and if you can, try to add on. Well, I'll try to add on John to the list too. But get us. That's what's more important.
Say it again.
Get us. That's what's more important. If you can, we're gonna add. If we could try to add John, great. If you can't, don't worry about it. Probably shouldn't talk about this on air. And yes, you'll be doing all of that. I will be nowhere near you as far as that goes.
The funny thing is, you're still under Wally, because I guess when I made the thing, it's still Wally.
Please change it off of Wally. Because after all, you got it for the All-Star game. How will the Kravtsov situation eventually get resolved? Playing him.
Trade.
And that's the other thing too. Trade. And he still will have value. Jesse Puljujarvi still has value.
I was looking at my phone doing the credential, so I missed some of these.
Well, there's one for you right here.
Comments.
Do you think the Islanders did the right thing hiring Lambert as a coach? And also, do you think the Rangers have a shot in the series against the Hurricanes? No, the Rangers definitely have a shot. There are ways the Rangers can do it. They're going to have to win it 5-on-5. Anthony, take the other part.
I'll do both. How about that? I think the Rangers do have a shot because they have Igor in goal and they have elite players like Panarin, Zibanejad. However, they're still the underdog. I just think the Hurricanes are the better team. Stranger things have happened. The Rangers clean up their game and can steal some games in Carolina. It's definitely could be a series, but ultimately, I think Carolina is probably going to win in 6. As far as the Islanders go, yeah, I mean, like I said, he's been a highly touted assistant coach. Other teams have tried to poach him over the last 2 years. And it was either, say goodbye to him or give him the job. And Lou decided to give him the job. So we'll see what happens.
And just to answer Rich's question over here, I know Sean had his joke in there too. Filk, whenever he can get on, he can get on. He works afternoons all the time. So we're trying to get him. We're trying to get it for today. That's why we're on so early, but he wasn't able to make it. But
I'm gonna go in a couple minutes.
Likewise. I'm gonna cut this all off.
Tend to my pool. I opened my pool 2 days ago, and I'm still trying to get the water right. It's always just a disaster.
Yeah, the closest I get is the puddle. Although you guys have seen some of the pictures of me having a cigar in the hammock watching the NHL playoffs.
Yeah.
That has been total heaven for me. Although I do plan on taking a nap and going to the gym.
You know what the annoying thing is? It's like when you first open it, I have like one of those robots that go by itself, and it's just stupid. It never goes to the areas I want it to get. And I'm sitting there out there manually doing it, sweating my tail off. But I mean, I'm not going to complain. I guess I'm glad I have a pool, but still, I hate it just because it takes so much time and effort to get it like swimmable, like the blue and everything. It's just annoying.
Oh, and then you're going to end up doing another shirtless show like you did last year.
Oh, yeah, I did one outside. That was yeah.
I still got to find that clip. You guys want to see me do a cannonball?
Yeah, that was good stuff.
That was still a great clip. Joe, by the way, how about this? 42nd year anniversary of Mount St. Helens. I remember watching the movie about that with Art Carney back in the day. I remember that. Actually, I remember knowing about it. I don't remember the incident. I was only 2. So
it was funny. I did not want to say tail there. I'm glad someone caught on to that. I tried to keep it PG for us. The robot sounds like Nemeth, not kids. Yeah.
By the way, Tommy, yeah, they informed Nemeth that Ottman that he's going to be involved in their plans for next year. At the very least, he breaks camp with the Rangers, I think. First off, that's a great comment when you say it like that. Where are we located at? We're both on Long Island. I'm in Nassau. Anthony's in Suffolk.
Yep.
Anthony's a little bit of a drive out, but always good to go get some golf courses around there. I can tell you that. But yeah, we like to go into the city whenever we can. Let's see. We haven't played well all year against Carolina, even when that 1-0 win was lucky. Yeah. Sure, but sounds like Nemeth. And Pens and Kings are 2 very different teams. Tom, you're right about that one. Pens are a lot more elite level talent. And go. And yeah, the Canes are going to force you into making mistakes and force you to have trouble getting out of your zone. That's why their shot differentials, they can stifle teams so well. So actually, I think the Canes are a better matchup for the Rangers than anything else. So, all right. Anthony, I know you got to go and I got to go. I'm going to get this up for the audio podcast. If you guys haven't already subscribed to us on either Spotify or at iTunes, you always can. Again, congratulations, Core Python. I think it was almost 2K who was the first person that was on the comments to get in. First, it's great to see when you guys are commenting 15 minutes before we're about to get on. So that's always a good thing. Which out of the 4? You know what? Let me get Donnell one more question. Which out of the 4 series are you most excited for, Anthony?
The Oilers and the Flames.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'd strike the Rangers for me because obviously I favor the Rangers, but St. Louis, Colorado, I'm going to go with even over. I think the Battle of Florida is going to be the best of the playoffs, but we're going to see about that.
Yeah.
So again, guys, you guys are great. This is the reason why we do it. Captain, by the way, hey, we all thought that the Pens were the best matchup for us, and it was a nightmare. That's right. You throw out the regular season. And the worst part is I make all my predictions off of the regular season numbers. What a great smart thing. Anthony, so you're gonna go work on the pool a little bit right now?
Yeah, I guess I just gotta vacuum it again and just see if I need to put more shock in it. Because my daughter, don't forget, I mean 2, but my younger one, she's 5, so she always asks, "Is the pool ready yet? Is the pool ready yet?" I'm like, "Oh,
yeah,
no."
At that age, that's all they're thinking about.
And honestly, even if the water is good, do you know how cold it probably is right now? It's probably in the
got to be in the 60s.
Yeah, it's too. I would never go in it right now. You'd have to pay me money.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Romanello, you were late. It was picked at about it was after bar talk. I think we were about an hour and 25 in.
Yeah.
But don't worry, we'll do future giveaways, especially for the subscribers. and we're gonna figure out other stuff when eventually we decide to do like memberships and everything. But that's way down the road. Don't worry about that. But we always want to say thank you to you guys. So for you guys always do great for us.
Yeah.
And we're starting to get more Islander fans coming in. That's also what matters
Yeah.
too, because we want to cover everything. So regardless, Rangers win or lose this series, we're going to be covering everything all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Obviously, as the off season, gets closer to being full in swing, there's going to be more, rumors and trade rumors and where players may sign.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I wish Big Lou would be bold and trade for Forsberg's rights like now, so you have more time to try to sign him. But I know Nashville's still at a stage where they want to, where their season just ended and there's still time to think about it, and they still want to re-sign him. So I don't see them giving up his rights, at least until like maybe end of June, where they know maybe where he's not staying. But I would love a move like that.
That's like a last minute move they usually do. And sometimes they do that just to make sure they can get the 8th year on a guy, or they just have.
Well, I remember when Scar Snow traded for Halak's rights while the playoffs were going on. It was actually early May where he traded for his rights, signed them a couple of weeks later. So, I mean, it's been done before, but I'm not expecting Nashville to do anything like that until they know for sure that he's not going to stay.
Well, what you should do is ask Big Lou about that. Because
you want to call him again?
I do not. I still think he's listed in my phone under Marty St. Louis. So you are very devious. You underestimate the sneakiness.
All right, guys. I think our viewers right now would like for you to pick up your phone and call Lou live. I think they would.
I think I'm going to be breaking my phone before I do that.
What'd you say?
I think I'll break my phone before I do that again. I have never been more mortified in my life.
There's 32 people in here. Maybe if they all coerce you enough to say call Lou on your phone right now live, I think that would be good. Come on, that would be good entertainment right there.
That would be good entertainment, and I would never be able to work on hockey ever again.
You would what?
All right. Guys, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us, because, again, you guys have been great today. And before Anthony talks you guys into telling me to call Big Lou, I'm going to get out of here. So take it easy. I will see you guys tonight. I will definitely be doing a post-game show after the game, no matter how drunk I am, okay?
Mark, I know you're trying to end it so you don't have to feel the pressure, but now you have 3 people telling you to call Lou.
I'm sorry. Wait, I already hit end? I already hit end.